All right, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of the 2024 Land of Conservation and Development. I am so happy to see so many familiar faces and some new faces to this process. This process is sort of the kickoff for the public meeting for the next 3 to 6 months, 8 months of time period that we do to help bring along this planning process, to help the community identify how we've done over the last decade associated with our last plan of conservation and development, how it relates to what we've done recently over the last 10 years, and what we're hoping to do in the future. So tonight I'd like to do just a few things. First, I'm Rob Sibley. I'm the Director of Planning and Land Use here in Newtown. I have my Deputy Director here somewhere. Okay, he's in the back waving his hand. And I have commissioners here from Planning and Zoning. Could you please stand up and be recognized? This commission is the commission that will be helping to guide this process over the next 8 months or so. That will bring it through the legislative process here in town. Thank you so much, appreciate it. So tonight I'm going to be handing this off to BFJ, who is going to help us identify the different ideas, placeholders, demographics, and future hopes for this community and how it will tread through the next 10 years in making their decisions. I think that's about it. But the process tonight will take about an hour or so, but this process will stay open for months for you to be able to reach out. We'll have a lot more opportunities on the internet and in the newspaper and in lots of different ways. So tonight's your first opportunity to reach out and to talk to us, but I'm going to hand it over right now to a very capable team to help you with this beginning process. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
So first off, good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I have to say, we did a public meeting last night for Trumbull. You guys are way above Trumbull in terms of turnout. I am so happy. In fact, you actually beat East Hartford, which I did Tuesday night. So give you guys a round of applause just for that. So we're pretty happy. It's always great, especially when it comes to plans of conservation development updates, to have that community involved. And that makes our job so much easier because you're really telling us what your vision is for the town itself. So I want to just do a quick introduction. My name is Thomas Madden. I'm an associate principal with BFJ Planning. Previously, before I joined BFJ, I was Director of Economic Development for the City of Stamford. Before that, I was Commissioner of Community Development in Westchester County. I have well over 25 years of municipal government experience, and now I'm going back into the private sector. This is probably my 7th comprehensive plan that I have done. So you're in very good hands in terms of how we actually approach this and the product that you're going to get at the end. I want to just introduce quickly my team members here tonight. Michelle Gilman, who's going to be, she's sitting right up front here. She's going to be doing part of the presentation, and S.G. Sukram, she'll be doing part of the presentation tonight. So this is the planning team that we are, basically Robin and Steve are working with tonight and who you'll be interacting and seeing. So the agenda for tonight is we're going to go over what is really a plan of conservation development. It's been 10 years. Your last plan of conservation development was done in 2014. It is now coming up in 2024 and will expire. We're going to talk a little bit about the project overview. We want to dive a little bit in, and this is why you see these boards around here tonight, is the 2014 plan of conservation development goals. And what we're doing tonight is testing whether those goals in 2014 still hold true today. And so we've got an opportunity to be, have the audience participate, add comments, talk to us about that. And we're really here to listen. I'm not telling you what your town should be or shouldn't be. That's your job. As residents of this town, you're telling us where your vision goes. And so then we write that up. We're going to talk a little bit about how our stakeholder community engagement is going. And like I said, it is going to be an open process. We have a website set up for this. In fact, I'll jump out of here, go right here. So if you go to the town website, right on there we have the Newtown Plan of Conservation Development website. We have the survey that's available both in English and in Spanish. I do have it available in French and Haitian Creole if you'd like. So we are trying to reach out as many different languages.
Can you go to the homepage and just show
Sure.
them what it is?
So if you go to the homepage, it's right in the top right-hand corner under the Find It Fast, Newtown POCD. Okay. So this is where we're going to direct a lot of people. This is why we're asking for you to sign in tonight and give us your email address. So as we start to update this, I'm one of those guys who believes in sunshine is the best thing when you have these processes. So I can basically have Rob send out that email to you, and we can update you right away if we have a new document going up or anything that we are basically presenting. We're going to be putting on this website here as well for the Planning and Zoning Commission, all of our presentations. So we have done already one presentation to the previous Planning and Zoning Commission. We'll be doing another one coming up in December. You'll see that presentation go up on the website itself. At the same time, we're videotaping this tonight. That video, so you can tell your friends, family, and neighbors who didn't show up tonight or weren't able to come, they'll be able to watch that video and be able to understand this process. Again, I'm very much about the sunshine, coming in and making sure it's an open and involved process all the way along. On this website right here, we have, if you go into it, you'll see this a little bit later, but this allows you, and we've already had people putting their comments on, this is our social pinpoint, and this allows you to basically look at sustainability, resilience, natural resources, and make a comment, economic development, transportation, community facilities. So already people have made comments, so if we click on this, you can actually see someone talking about past traffic studies around the famous flagpole, and you can actually like or dislike it. And so we want you to keep adding those comments in, because that helps us draft that vision, and as well as these strategies and goals. Sorry. Okay. We're going to go over initial findings and demographics, and then we're going to move into an interactive open house tonight that I'll walk you through. So what is a plan of conservation development? It's really an expression of the community shared vision for the future, and we think this is really important. This is why we have these public meetings. It lays a town-wide framework for initiatives and investments, so think about your capital budget. Think about your zoning code. The plan of conservation development, it helps bind those legal documents together, and it provides that general policy of where the town sees itself going in that certain direction. It's also, we develop a to-do list, and this is the town, it allows the town to track and implement any of the short-term, medium, and long-term goals that we pull out of what everybody tells us. We then assign it to the different departments, and in that way, basically, the town board can go through and say, okay, are we meeting the goals of plan of conservation development? Is it then allowing us to go after different types of grants and things like that? So the big thing that we want to just remind everybody is that the state law requires this every 10 years. If your plan expires, which is April 2014, basically you have to write a letter back to OPM to allow you to keep applying for any type of grant within the state. So our goal is to try to get this plan finished up by April, to get it adopted hopefully in May to June, so you don't miss those grant opportunities. Other thing, as I mentioned earlier, POCD, they're not laws or regulations, but it's really what the zoning is now based upon. So as we start to talk about economic development, we talk about housing, we talk about how you look at the development within the town itself. Everything must be consistent, and then the zoning will need to match up with that. So that's what we work with Rob on in terms of rewriting some of the zoning code based upon the wishes of the residents. The other thing we have is certain POC chapters are required by the state. However, we can add in additional topic areas. So again, as we start to hear back from the surveys and the comments that we hear, there may be additional information that we have and put in as separate information. And so that way it responds to what the needs of the community really are. Our timeline for this, we started in August, we're now in September. Here's our sort of first meeting, end of November. We'll have another meeting in sort of February with a public hearing, then we have to send it off to the COG and the state for review. That's a 65-day review. I've already reached out to them, knowing that basically I've got friends up there, they're going to expedite this for us. And we're going to have them involved all the way along, so they know as the plan comes in, they know that they're in good hands for the review, and they'll get back to us right away to make sure that we're in compliance both regionally with what the regional plans say, but also implementing a lot of the visions. So again, this will go up the website. I think we have, I gave you another copy of this, Rob. But it's basically working all the way through November to February, finish up in April and get that approved right away. Basically, we start writing most of the plan, the vision, the goals, and objective from November into December. We bring that back to the public. We start drafting the chapters based upon the Newtown to date data book that we're doing. That should be, a draft copy of that should hopefully be going up in the next couple of weeks so people can actually see the demographics as well as the economics of the town. We're going to present a little bit of that tonight. And then we start to move into really February, March. It's the future land use recommendation strategies, and we present a draft POCD plan, which then will go to public hearing in front of the planning and zoning. All the way along, we'll be having meetings and updates for the Planning and Zoning Commission, so that it's really, those are the people who approve the plan, and we have to make sure that we're in compliance with their wishes, as well as the residents' wishes. Just a quick question, show of hands. How many people were involved in the 2014 POCD? We got a few. So this is a brand new process, and this is one of the things that as BFJ we like to do is we're going to handle it all the way along to make sure that this is done correctly and it's done exactly the way the state wants us to do it. So then that is then legally binding, so you don't get into trouble. People can't come in and try to sue you because you didn't do it correctly. So where we are right now is we're at the visioning stage, so it's our November 30th public meeting. We're going to talk about the POCD goals, visions, and that. One of the things we are going to do is outreach to the Newtown High School students. We do a whole session with the students because we think it's very important to get the youth involved. Because how do we get the youth to come back to Newtown? And that is something that every town seems to struggle with in Connecticut. We have a huge amount of brain drain within Connecticut itself, and how do we get them to come back? So one of the things we always do is a nice little afternoon session with the high school students to talk to them specifically about what do they love about Newtown and what would they change and what would draw them back. And that's very, very important because that again goes to the division. We start to work on our draft POCD chapters as well as we start to look at the compliance of the land use and zoning maps. And so one of the things we're doing is we're taking all of the zoning variances that have happened over the last 10 years as well as the zoning changes. We're going to be comparing those and finding out, well, maybe zoning doesn't match up if you're handing out zoning variances for a certain thing. Well, maybe that zoning needs to change because it doesn't quite work in that area. So again, one of the things I'm always a big proponent of in all my years of working in municipal government, I'd love to cut red tape. So if I can cut red tape and make it easier for residents to do what they'd like to do, then I'm going to try to help do that. So part of our chapters where we're looking at, this was the 2014 POCD organization. It was a very long POCD. It was almost 180 pages. It had a lot of details in it. We're going to be changing that a little bit. We're going to be putting a lot of those details in the back of the book and getting right to the meat, right away up front. So your old plan had, the executive summary, the vision in perspective, and then achieving the vision, issues, goals, management. And what we're doing is we're using along the same lines, but we're going to break it down a little bit differently. So ideally, we're hoping about an 80-page plan, very graphical, and it's going to get into the goals, objectives, and strategies right away. So that way, it's going to be easier as the Planning and Zoning Board has development that comes in. You can then go back to a developer or someone who's bringing in any type of development. It's laid out right in front. You don't have to dig for it. So we're going to be looking at our regional setting and context. Where does Newtown sit within the region? Because again, any type of funding that you look at has to meet up to that regional context. So again, when we look at hazard mitigation, things like that, coming from the COG, where does Newtown sit with that? We look at the demographics because that tells us where we come from and where we're going. Again, land use, zoning, economic development, housing, infrastructure, transportation. Natural resources and environmental sustainability. When we did our first presentation to the Planning and Zoning Board, I think we sat with about 50 people outside for a good 30 minutes afterwards, and that was one of the things that really we're trying to hammer home with us, is that environmental sustainability and natural resources. Parks, open space recreation. Another one was quality of life and neighborhood livability, and that moves into our future land use plan, our action agenda, and then making sure that the plan consistency matches up regionally all the way along. So what I will do is I'm going to actually turn this over to Michelle here. We did a lot of the update of the stakeholder meetings together. So we did the governance already back on October 19th. We're going to have to go back and do some of this again. Public safety, economic development, parks, zoning, recreation. But I'm going to give Michelle, she did type this up. She did a lot of the key takeaways. I'll let Michelle go through the next few slides on this one.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. If you have any trouble hearing me, just raise your hand. So like Thomas mentioned, we did a series of stakeholder interviews during the month of October, and we consolidated all that feedback into some of these key themes that you see on the left-hand side here. And then on the right-hand side, we're breaking that down into some further details. Again, this presentation will be available online, so I won't read through every single one. But when it came to infrastructure and resources, we heard a lot of talk about road infrastructure and maintenance, as well as preparing for the future. So how are we thinking about EV charging infrastructure, for example? And then when it came to transportation management and mobility, a lot of conversation about traffic enforcement, congestion, speed camera installation. And then coming down, we have housing and economic development. So again, talking about mixed-use development potentially at Fairfield Hills, expanding options for senior housing. And then last theme here is city services and community engagement. So for example, growing investments at the senior center, or potentially establishing a shared database to facilitate information sharing across different town agencies. And then this is a look at the last POCD. So trying to provide a compare and contrast of what have we heard today and what were the goals and priorities of 2014. So big focus on maintaining small town charm as well as conserving natural resources. We also heard a focus on housing and economic development. And then coming down at the bottom, we have community facilities and transportation. So definitely an overlap with some of those themes. But as we know, things have changed over the last decade, so excited to dig deeper into what will be some new priorities over the next 10 years. So like Thomas mentioned, we have this very beautiful, user-friendly website where you can geotag your feedback. So you can zoom in and click on a specific area and provide your feedback. You can like or dislike others. So we strongly encourage you to, comment, share with others. We also have physical maps. So if you prefer, you can write on the map, write on a sticky, paste it. But our goal through this whole process is to get as much feedback as possible from every corner of this community. So this is one of the strategies. And then the next is the online survey. It is available in English and Spanish. We've had over 500 responses as of this morning, which is very exciting. But again, please share this, encourage folks to respond because we want to get as much feedback as possible. And this survey will be online actually through December 22nd. And then again, in terms of next steps, we will be analyzing survey community feedback results in the coming weeks, beginning drafting of the POCD chapters, and then we'll be having our second public workshop in February. All right, so the next 10 or 15 minutes, we'll be looking through some different demographic data as it relates to Newtown. So one of our team members did a lot of analysis on Census Bureau data, specifically looking at the 2020 American Community Survey and comparing that to the 2010 and 2000 American Community Survey. So what we have here is a look at the Newtown population from 1880 to 2020. What we can see is we have just over 27,000 residents, and there is a slight population decrease between 2010 and 2020. And then this is a breakdown of Newtown's population change between 2010 and 2020. What we can see in the top corner there, it's a little small, is that the northern part of Newtown actually experienced some population growth. I think that area captures Hollyville and Sandy Hook, as well as there in western Newtown experienced a little bit of population growth as well. And this is a breakout of Newtown's age distribution comparing the years 2000, 2010, and 2020. A couple key takeaways here. As of 2020, the largest age cohort in Newtown is residents ages 45 to 54. And the Newtown population is aging as a whole. The 55 plus population has approximately doubled since 2000. And the youth population, specifically those 14 and younger, has decreased in recent decades. And then this is a snapshot of Newtown's race and ethnicity. Newtown's a predominantly white community. However, racial diversity has increased over the last decade. So you can just take a look here at that breakout. And then this here is a look at nativity and citizenship status. So Newtown is predominantly comprised of U.S.-born citizens. The foreign-born and immigrant population has decreased slightly since 2010. And then this is a comparison of school enrollment, 2010 versus 2020. So overall, K-12 enrollment has decreased by about 17% over the last decade. And the overall school population has decreased by 13%. So this aligns with how that age distribution has changed. There are fewer younger folks, and so enrollment has decreased in recent years. And then this is a look at median income. So overall, median income grew across all household types between 2010 and 2020. Overall, median income in 2020 was just over $125,000. And then this is a breakout of income distribution by household type. So we can see here that married couple families on average tend to be the highest earning households, with about a third of married couple households earning more than $200,000 per year. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Eshti to walk through some housing demographics.
Thank you, Michelle. My apologies if I also have a little something in the back of my throat. So first we're going to talk a little bit about household composition. So this specifically can help identify some gaps in services in general. There are 9,766 occupied housing units currently in Newtown. The town is fairly built out. 63.7% of Newtown households are married couple households, And about a third of these households have children, and a third have individuals over the age of 65. And these kind of help us understand and assess housing needs, as well as offering services for families and seniors, such as schools and education, etc. Next, we're going to discuss housing tenure and structure age. So generally, between 1940 and 1979, about half of occupied units were constructed in Newtown. So as you can see by this graphic, a lot of the houses in this area were built close to 50 to 70 years ago. So as the houses are getting older, this also means that there might be a need for more repairs and improvements. So this is also something to consider. This is also important to consider when we think about neighborhood character, and as places are changing and if they're redeveloping or adjusting, how do we balance preservation and development? All right, next we're going to quickly go over housing units by structure. So here in Newtown, the housing stock is mainly comprised of single-family detached homes, and over 1,000 single-family homes were constructed over the last decade. But there has been an increase in the amount of 3 to 4 unit housing structures over the last decade. And then in terms of rental affordability, so there's currently 912 occupied rental units in Newtown, and the proportion of rent-burden households has decreased by about 10% between 2010 and 2020, suggesting that maybe the town is doing something well that we can look into and continue to adopt this throughout the next plan of conservation and development. And lastly, for housing, we're just going to discuss housing values. So overall, the median value of homes has decreased slightly between 2010 and 2020. And this just helps us understand a little bit more going forward, the affordability of houses and workforce retention and people moving into Newtown, and the level of affordability and how we can, again, keep people in Newtown and encourage them to stay. And now I'll hand it back over to Thomas, because now you're probably tired of hearing us speak. So, so he'll go over briefly the interactive portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Andy. So what happens now? We've given you all these facts and figures. We've sort of shown you the vision so far. Now we move to the interactive portion of tonight. So if we look back right over here, we have in the blue corner over there, when you first walked in, that's the 2014 vision statement for the town, as well as some of the goals. I have on this poster right here, very similar to the social pinpoint. We're going to allow you to mark that up. We want to know stuff, what you like, tell us ideas, concerns about your town. We have another one on that table over there. Okay. This side right here, I have housing and economic development. So again, we pulled up the housing and economic 2014 planning goals. And we have a big space for comments. So I have lots of stickies, I have lots of pens. We want you to make comments. And how we are going to do this as we move around the room, Eshti, Michelle, Rob, Steve, and I are going to be at each one of these boards. We're going to be able to sit there and answer any questions. But we want you to write down your comments. Don't just tell us your comments, okay? I need you to write them down. Much like when I was asking everybody to give us your email address so we can keep you up to date. If you tell me a comment is no good, I need a written record of it, because then that gets into the plan as part of the comments that we summarize for everybody. So again, when you look at these right here, these goals, I want you to either put a check mark behind it, that you say, yes, I still agree with it, or I want you to put an X. And if you put an X, I want you to grab a stick and tell me why you disagree or what you'd like to see changed on that goal. Okay? That is going to help us rewrite these and update them for the next 10 years. So again, we have visions and goals. In orange right over there is transportation. In green in the back here is the conservation and natural resources and open space. And then my last one over there is community facilities. And yes, my eyesight is that good, so I don't know. So I want you to go around and just write that up. Again, we have these maps right here. You can mark all your stuff up. If you don't want to put a sticky and you want to write on this, that's fine. I'm not saying stickies are the way to go. Whatever makes you feel comfortable to make those comments and make sure we get them. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take about a 5-minute break. I brought lots of sugar. Okay? I do not want to take these cookies home. So I expect everybody to take a cookie tonight, get that sugar level back up, so we can get through and write up comments. I need everyone to work around these different boards here. However, if you have a particular thing that you have, sort of the bee in the bonnet, as we say, that you want to make sure that you have your comments on, go straight to that board. But I need those comments, because that's the only way, when we do POCD updates, it works for us. I can't have a silent majority out there that says, you didn't reach out to us, you didn't listen to us. Well, if you don't write the comments down, you don't respond to the surveys, and you don't join us in this process, you have no right to complain when we roll around in April and we start presenting this plan back. Okay? So I'm being very honest with you, because again, I like my sunlight, I've been doing this for so long, and I've been through everybody who says, you didn't talk to me. Well, no. We're trying to make sure we get every opportunity. So again, if you have friends, families, neighbors who didn't show up tonight, or don't even know about this plant conservation update, go have a kitchen table meeting with them, okay? Tell them, hey, you know, we put it up on Facebook groups. I think I'm on 4 different Facebook groups. We're trying to get this out to get as many responses back. Like I said, we've got over 500 already. I would love to beat Shelter Island. That's the most we've ever had. We had 1,300 surveys come back to us. I think Newtown could probably beat them. So that's our goal, is to beat Shelter Island over on Long Island, to get 1,300 surveys back, because then that gives us statistically a very good idea of what the town residents want. Okay? So I will open it up really quick here if you guys have any questions or comments on the process. What we're going to do tonight, I'm happy to answer them. So gentlemen, yes, at the back.
You just stated that the surveys are important. 1,300 is a nice goal. In 2019, a survey was sent out to the town of Newtown. 2,200 people responded.
So you're going to give me 2,200? I will take 2,200.
Here, I make my point though. 2,200 people plus responded. The question was about housing in Fairfield Hills. Overwhelming majority, 70 to 80%, resisted any type of residential housing at Fairfield Hills. What happened? I'm sorry, the first selectman, whoever the powers that be in Newtown, they came out and they did a dog and pony show where they had developers come in and promise rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies, and next thing you know, all of a sudden we're voting for housing at Fairfield Hills. So what matter that we do the survey if in fact, if it doesn't agree with what somebody wants, it's not going to just be overwhelmed by some other way.
Well, all of this goes into plant conservation development, okay, and that is your guiding document. So I don't believe the 2014 plan really talked about housing at that time period.
2019 survey.
Yeah, that's 2019. I'm talking 2014 plan. 2014 plan laid out that vision and was not addressed in that plan. However, with this plan here, that's why we're asking you to fill this out, we can then address it. That is your next 10-year vision for the town on how you address this problem. And yes, I think already, if someone mentions pickleball tonight, I think that is one of the main themes we are getting back on the surveys is pickleball courts as well. So. Yes, sir.
Just to confirm, for
Yep.
the people that aren't here tonight, all these comments can be done online on the website?
All these comments can be done online on the website on that social pinpoint.
Right.
Okay? So we're taking initial stuff comments tonight, but we will have this all up available on the website as well. So you can take those social pinpoints and make those comments on there as well. Okay, I'm going to go in the Newtown here, green in the back, over here, and then far back.
Quick question. Some of us here work on various commissions
Yep.
within the town, like I chair the Sustainable Energy Commission. Are you going to be coming up to us as commissions?
Yes.
To get our input?
Can everybody hear her?
No.
Okay, so here.
Some of us work for various commissions within the town, and I'm just wondering, are you going to be approaching the commissions to get their input as well? So I don't.
With the brand new election, we're seeing a whole changeover on commissions and boards and everything else. And so we held off until after the new boards get appointed. And so we'll be going back out through December into January to meet with all of those commissions, to talk to them.
Volunteer.
Even all the volunteer commissions, yes. Okay? All right. And over here, I feel like Wink Martindale walking around here. All right. So someone over here. Great.
I don't.
Oh, well, so everybody here.
I was very concerned about community outreach because I did a lot of networking this morning when I found out about the survey being out. And I'm invested in this process, and I didn't know about it.
That's going to happen.
I talked to many people today who knew nothing about the survey, nothing about this meeting, nothing about this plan. So there's got to be some kind of community outreach that actually reaches out to the many, many people in this town. I also had one more comment about the survey itself. I felt like it was a bit slanted. Yeah, and maybe not even, like, it seemed like for a town very different than our town. So I felt like it was a little leading, like if you are for something, then you're against something else. I didn't like that aspect.
Thank you. So we are working on getting outreach to everybody. So that's why we did the article in the paper. We've got on all the Facebook groups. We've been going to the town's constant contact list.
It's not the job
No.
to get it out. It's the
But
town's job.
yeah, and so the town has been working on that to get it out as much as we can. Now, unfortunately, we don't have everybody's email address. We are not going to get to everybody. This is why I'm asking you tonight to come help us.
Right.
Get to your neighbors, get that information out there to everybody
But
to help us out.
Why don't we have this going out to email?
So part of it is,
Yeah.
For their tax bill or something.
yeah,
Yeah, snail mail, right?
It's-
In the town.
In the tax bill.
When there's an emergency, usually.
you can do a reverse 911. We did that in Trumbull. And so it depends. You have a brand new for select. So you would have to
Is
be
it
able to.
here?
Rob?
That's not.
No, Rob's going to answer that
First
one.
selectman here.
Announce it so that everybody gets a phone call and share.
No, it's a changeover.
So, 2 blasts have gone out
Dan's
so
blast,
far.
yes.
First, the school was sent out a blast twice last week, I believe, or the week before. And we have what's called news and announcements. And news and announcements for the town is an email blast that goes out for anybody that's signed up for announcements within the town. If you're not signed up for announcements within the town can't reach you.
But how-
So this is, so again, what we're trying to do.
One at a time, please.
What we're trying to do is if you are identifying an issue right now that you think we're not reaching some folks, that's wonderful. We'll shift the conversation. We'll see if we can make it a different way to reach out to folks. But there has been a pretty good penetration so far.
Listen, I get this with every plan of conservation development. We always get people say, you didn't reach out to me. We do our best to reach out to as many people as possible. Are we going to get to everybody? Probably not.
Doesn't everybody have a house and an address?
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
you have,
I mean, hello?
Ask the tax
So
collector.
the thing is though, we can post it, as much as we can. We go out through the school district as much as we can. We go through the senior center as much as we can. And we use the town available website as well. So, all right.
I have a two-part
Yep.
question. The first one is all the data that you used from the census and put it out for Newtown specifically. Is there a comparison against national trends and what that's going to do or impact or how it might impact our town? And then
Second question.
it's more of a comment. I chair the Community Center Commission and we got 3,000 results for our survey.
She's up to you.
Because one of the biggest ways we did it is we mailed postcards to every single.
So that's up to the town with their budget for this?
Rob, that's,
Yeah.
we gotta keep.
Bring our budget out.
Yeah, there's
Got to vote for that.
our budget for doing this plan does not involve that. Okay? Plain and simple. So, I'll be honest,
Give me
my,
copies, I'll
yeah.
mail them.
Perfect.
You're asking for feedback.
Yeah, perfect. All right, I had someone back here.
Thank you, Tom. It's just really a comment. Could you clarify, because you alluded to the fact that we have all new boards coming in tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Could you clarify for the folks here the legal responsibility for the Planning and Zoning Commission as far as the POCD? Because I don't think that's really been clarified.
So I'm coming to their next meeting to redo the initial presentation we gave to the Planning and Zoning Board last month. And so we'll be going over their legal requirements because it is the Planning and Zoning Board's document. Okay, they're the ones that approve the plan. It's not the town board or anybody else. It's not the town supervisor, mayor, and you know, it's basically, it's the Planning and Zoning Board's document. They approve it. Okay, so we hold a public hearing on that, and then they move forward with any changes, and it gets approved, and then we start to look at the zoning for the town itself. So,
Excuse me.
They also have the ability to broaden access or broaden input depending on what they as a group determine is the way to proceed.
correct. So any the chapters and everything else, that's what we'll be going over with the new board. Like I said, we had the draft chapters that we presented, but we'll be representing that and saying, okay, let's start to fine tune this based upon what we have already.
It's my understanding that the Planning and Zoning Commission oversees it, but at the end, it's the Legislative Council
Yeah.
that has the final word.
They have the final word on it, but the planning and zoning has to hold their public hearing on it.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah.
I have a question about how two different plans interact. My understanding of the planning of conservation development is that when looking, it's about development and somewhat about transportation. But the transportation tends to be a point-oriented transportation. Okay, meanwhile, so basically we're developing, we're adding housing, and these housings are all going to go down to grocery stores, or they're all going to try and get out to 684, or, you know, so they're not, you know, the scope of the impact of the traffic is more than just the local neighborhood. And that, but the POC-D seems to support mostly the local neighborhood, but Westcog has a plan for regional traffic. Now, the regional traffic, I mean, if everybody goes out to the skating rink, or then you have all of that, but the regional traffic is going to be congesting the town roads. So how do these two plans work together to make sure that we actually get traffic that flows from one end of our town through to the other end of our town?
That's actually a great question. That was one of the things we actually talked about with DPW specifically and with the COG itself. And so you do have a regional plan for traffic that basically looks at both your state roads and your local roads. And so part of it is as you bring in new development, in New York, we have the State Environmental Quality Review Act, which you don't have here in Connecticut. So as part of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, you actually have to do a full environmental assessment of each of those different aspects of that development to make sure that you are mitigating those impacts to the greatest extent possible. Now, with the POCD, when I was talking with Rob about this, one of the things that we're hoping to set this up is, as that development comes in, does it meet the goal and objectives? So if you have development comes in and has traffic impacts, what mitigation is that development doing to offset those impacts or to mitigate those impacts all the way along? And if that development can't mitigate those impacts, then it really should move forward for any type of approval. As well, we take into account what is happening at the regional level. Again, this is why it goes back to the COG for review. And we have to make sure that if we are, say, one area of Newtown needs to be redeveloped, or the citizens say, we have no problem with this being redeveloped, the COG will assess that area and say, okay, as we put it into the regional modeling for traffic, what impacts then go regionally within those roadways. Now, one of the things I know with DOT that is probably one of the biggest hot button topics right now is the impact of our Waze and Google Drive and everything else that basically brings people through here. Now, I'm a Stratford resident, and I'm going to be honest, I have cut through Newtown so many times when I was working in Westchester because the Merritt was backed up for 3.5 hours, and I would come up this way to hit 84 and then go back down the Hutch to get into Greenberg. Okay? And that's because Waze was directing me that way. That was the best way to go because it's the least amount of traffic. One of the things I know the state is working with right now, and the COGS are working with right now, is to get back into those social media type apps that direct traffic, is to basically have them start blocking traffic from going on local routes. And I know we've done it in Stanford already when I was there. We were getting them to block out roadways so it wouldn't route people through. So that's part of what we're working on right now, both at a regional level and a state level. Okay? So that again, when we go back to the planning side, that's why the COGS review the plan, to take that into account and then make comments on that in the end. Okay? All right, next, you sir.
Follow up on COGS. 3 of the 6 adjacent towns to Newtown are in different COGS than Westcott. And I took the implication that your review process has to go through Westcott. What can you do to reach out to the other adjacent COGS? Because, as mentioned, the transportation studies, if you read the adjacent transportation study relative to the Westcott transportation, they don't connect.
Yeah. So, again, we're working in Trumbull right now, so that's MetroCog, completely different. And so part of what we look at is that overall regional impact of talking to each of the COGS. So that's why I reach out to the COGS first and foremost, say, hey, we're working on the plan. We need to talk to your planners right away and your transportation planners. Because as we start to look at the different vision within Newtown or Trumbull, we want to be able to make sure that they start to match up. Now, the COGS are supposed to be talking to each other. I know you're shaking your head. I know it's like pulling teeth out of a crocodile sometimes with some of these COGS. But the idea is if we can get into them and start talking and have that dialogue right away, and especially at that state level, that's where it will come in. So again, part of what we're doing tonight, we don't know where Newtown wants to go. That's why I'm here to listen to this. That's why Rob's here to listen. And Michelle and Esther, we're here to listen to you. And the Planning and Zoning Commission who's here, who's going to be sitting on Friday, I guess start, but right away, that's what we're here to do is listen to you and start to develop the plan so that basically we can take into account that regional level. So again, when I went back to my chapters, first thing we did is we looked at, we have a document that we give to Rob. I think we can get that up on the website. It is a summary of all the regional plans around us on what they are looking for. And so again, we have to take into account what the residents say here and those regional plans to make sure that they align. It's very hard. If you start to get out of alignment with these regional plans and where they're going, that starts to cut off grant money and other stuff. And so we got to make sure as we tailor the vision for the town of Newtown, it matches up regionally, but it also speaks to where you want to go. Okay. All right, go here. Oh, Boston. All right.
Yeah. All the demographic data is based on 2020 and
American Community Survey.
And I get why it looks decade, but I see it in my own neighborhood that since 2020, post-pandemic, the demographics, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say have changed significantly in town, along with property values, and probably most of the other things you talked about. Are we basing this next 10-year POCD on old data, or will any of that current data be taken into consideration?
So in terms of data itself, the Census Bureau is actually coming out next month, hopefully with some new data. And it's supposed to be corrected based upon the 2020. Unfortunately, under the previous presidential administration, a lot of funding was not given back to Census and they were held up. And so now we're dealing with the corrections that now have to move forward almost 3 years later after we got that 2020 data. So again, once that data, I think it's supposed to get released in either December or January. We're going to go back, take a quick look to make sure that it's not skewed. And so we're giving you the proper data before we finish this plan, so that the recommendations and anything else that we're doing with this plan are on that data.
So you're
Now,
gonna solve
the idea is, let me finish here. So part of the problem though is the data is just a snapshot. So we know already that we had close to 56,000 people move to Connecticut. And a lot of people came during COVID that changed the neighborhood compositions. This was during the census time. Now, all we can do is work on that 2020, whatever was filled out, and then the projections off the American Community Survey. We have data coming in from the school district, so we can at least match some of that stuff. We have the assessor's data, which looks at your home values and everything else. We can plot that out. But again, I can do small projections to the future based upon what we have. But what we've been seeing all the way along, and this is why we go back to 2000, 2010, 2020, over 3 census periods, is to try to find that best line of where you're going. So that way the anomalies, you can sort of track that out and you can make some projections. So again, it said the population decreased from 2010 to 2020. I suspect after 2020 it has gone back up again. But that's going to come through the American Community Survey, which is a 5-year survey data that they go back out. And that's what's supposed to be released. And we're hoping to get that data fairly quickly to be able to do it. But all these stuff we have tonight is basically what is available to us. Okay? If you have about $250,000 to give to BFJ Planning, I am happy to go back out and resurvey the entire town to be able to get you the correct data. So, but unfortunately, I don't think Newtown has that money to do that. So all I can do is my best estimation on where we're going as a town, taking what information I can get from the town and from the school district on everything, if that makes sense to you.
So you will do that?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, we got to make sure that it's correct, because once we start this plan, it's basically the data itself is going to be at that point of time. Now, again, this is why we do it every 10 years, because every 10 years we have a census. So again, we can get that new data to find out where everything is going. But pretty much when we start to look at the data, you've been pretty consistent all the way along in terms of your housing starts, the income, basically when you look at the amount of inflation, income projections, all that stuff. So it's been pretty consistent all the way along. So I don't suspect it's going to change that much. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go green jacket over here, and then
I could do without the mic, maybe.
Well, we're recording,
okay,
so.
fair enough.
I will use the microphone for a little. I was walking and I'm new to town, and I met somebody on the way in, and I said, I'm just here with my ears. I'm just going to listen. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm new to town, and here I am with a microphone in my hand. So bear with me for 1 second. When I was hearing these concerns about this survey and the number of people who took it, I want to share and underscore that concern, because it seems like in this process the foundation is trust and participation. And I heard a lot of people who don't trust the process because, perhaps for a variety of reasons, unrelated to this event, but what goes on in the world. But then when you come in and you find out 1.5% of the population has taken a survey, and they've got another week to take it, and there's not other ways that the town is going to get the survey out, while at the same time the survey and people's participation is the most...
3 weeks.
Okay, 3 weeks. So if participation is the most important aspect of this process, how is it possible that we can't find other ways to get people to take the survey? I heard 2,000, 3,000 from other surveys. And so, again, I'm new, and I'm trying to understand, is this an important document for the town? If so, let's get the majority of people to take the survey and figure that out. Thank you.
I'm not going to brag, but when I saw the front page of the Bee and saw you and the survey, I made up a page or two of the website where the monkey survey was, and passed it out to a class that I teach at the senior center. It's an art class I've been doing for about 12 years. I'm on the scan board, and I was hoping that we could work towards having an art center, a cultural art center in our very cultured town, and have a place where we can have exhibits and classes and lectures and things like that. And I'm wondering, I know this is probably crazy of you, how about that old police station? Is there any, is that spoken for?
Rob?
I'd really like to know.
Put that down as a comment.
Yeah. So,
Oh, I can.
okay, perfect. So
But can you tell us, is it up for sale?
Put it down as a comment so we can capture it.
Okay.
all right, I had someone else over here. Was there anybody else? All right. I think I'm getting my 10,000 steps in today, Rob.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Because Newtown's 60 miles, and we have so many boroughs, right? We have the Hattertown, Dodgman Town, Boxford, Sandy Hook, and so on and so forth. So I was wondering if, as we do the survey, is there any information that you're able to collect where it's actually showing people's opinions from the different boroughs? Because that would be helpful to know what people want in different boroughs.
So with that, Michelle, I think we have that down, the different boroughs on it?
Yes, we do ask if you are a resident to indicate what borough you reside in.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I didn't remember.
Yeah.
I did the survey. I did so.
All right. Anybody else?
Will you be aggregating?
Yes, we'll be aggregating.
This is more, I guess, for Rob. So I think everybody's saying the same thing in the room, like how can we get the word out? Would the town be willing to send a postcard to every, realtors do it, a house sells and I get a postcard the next day saying sell your house. Is there a way that the town could send out a small postcard to every mailbox in a pretty, I'll help do it, a short order, QR code in a mailbox, and then everybody has access with the deadline date?
We're going to figure out a way to get it out another way. I've heard it tonight. That's awesome. It's a great idea.
Every door.
All right.
Everybody,
So it sounds like we may need to extend it out, Rob, which we can probably do until January. Yeah. 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 Unfortunately, we are pressed for time on this. So your plan expires in April. So we can't extend it out. And so this is part of the problem when I come across a lot of towns. When we do plans of conservation development, it's always that kickoff getting to the people and then, but it's also we're pressed for time. Okay?
So then how come this wasn't happening sooner? Like, why did I just find out about the survey
So
today?
we only started this in September.
But you know it was expiring.
So it go-
Why wait till September?
So it goes with the RFP, the contract, and your budget is what it comes down to. So the budget is approved, then they can issue the RFP, they have to do the interviews for the consultants. I think we submitted everything in July, we got, really the contract was September, and then we started working right away. Basically starting to build out the data book and all the other stuff. We sat down and we looked at the time and said, okay, we've got elections coming up, we're gonna have new boards coming in. How do we best serve these new boards with the time that we're going to have available to try to get this plan done by April? Okay? And so we're on a tight timeline. And if I had 2 years to do this, that would be awesome. I would love that. But unfortunately, we don't have that. So there are going to be bumps in the road, and you're going to have to accept those bumps in the road. But you're going to have to help us. You keep telling me you're not reaching out to people. I'm asking you tonight, you have to help us. That is the only way this is going to work. You can sit and say, but you're not reaching out to us. You need to help us. As a resident of this town, you've got to be able to help us get out. Already Rob's agreed, he said he's going to go try to find some budget to figure out how we can get out to additional people. We've already agreed to that. Now I'm asking you, each and every one of you in here tonight, to talk to your neighbors about this. Talk to everybody that you can find to get that survey filled out. Now, you may not like the survey in there as well, but there's spaces in that survey to put comments in there. So if you don't like some of the questions and the way it's set up, we're giving you that opportunity. I am pretty sure we can set up on the website, Rob itself, we have a special email We'll get that put up for you, and we'll accept any comments that you would like to submit as well. Like I said, we're not turning down or saying no to any comment, but we do need that help from everybody. There will be opportunities, I'm sure, at the Planning and Zoning Commission to be able to speak and ask questions as we start to make our presentations as well. Again, I'm all about the sunlight on this. I'm not trying to hide anything, but we still have to keep the process moving forward. I can't keep going back. I've got to keep this thing moving forward because the town is on a deadline.
There's no exception with the state.
There is no exception.
They will not extend them.
No. So you get the big red mark. As soon as your plan is expired, you get the red mark, and then you now have to explain to OPM through a series of letters why you did not complete it on time. Okay? And so that's what we're trying to do, is get this done as efficiently as possible. Okay? To get this ready for the town, still taking in as much public participation as possible. Again, am I going to be able to reach everybody? No, I will fully admit that. We are not going to reach everybody. Every plan I've ever done, we do not reach everybody, and I always get someone that comes up at the public hearing going, I knew nothing about this. Okay? We are going to get that. We are fully aware of that. But all I can ask, again, talk to your neighbors. Talk to your neighborhood group. Talk to the PTA. Talk to your school. Make sure everybody knows about this and we can get out as much information as possible. That's why we have the website available. Okay? All right, so I don't want to take everybody's night here. It's now 8:10. What I would like to do is take 5 minutes because I still want all those cookies gone. I don't want to leave, I don't want to take them home with me. We have some coffee there, we have water here. We have pens and stickies over here we're going to start handing out. We're going to man our boards. This is your chance to start writing down initial comments to us of whether you agree or disagree. Like I said, I want to see check marks or X's. And if you put an X, why are you putting an X? To help us redefine that vision. If you have any comments, again, any comments that you've said tonight, write it down and put it on the comment section of this board. All right? So take a couple minutes here, grab something to drink, get some sugar in you, and we'll meet you at these boards.